What's going on, guys? So I was asked to kind of compare and contrast the Avid 11 Rack and the Headrush Pedalboard. I've got my Headrush sitting right back over here. I've got it 4-cabled up normally with the Jet City amp. I use that in the studio all the time, hooked up to a torpedo load box. I also use the Headrush just line in straight direct for a bunch of amp models that I don't normally have if I need a sound that I can't get out of my tube amp. Prior to owning that, I've used the Avid 11 Rack for years and years and years, and gigged in the band with it, you know, on an in-ear setup where we didn't have any stage volume. I've used both the 11 Rack and the Headrush live plenty of times. And somebody asked if I would do a video kind of really comparing them and doing some sound samples with the same presets, the same amp model, the same cabinet model, the same effects. So I went ahead and retracked an old song for an old band of mine. I took out all the production, like all the synths, vocals, everything are gone, just the raw bass, drums, guitar. But I have some tracks. I have a stereo rhythm guitar that was done with active pickups. I've got a Active Explorer, a bunch of lead parts that were done with passive pickups, and then some clean parts through like a Jazzmaster style P90 guitar. So I've got a few different presets. They're all level matched to the best of my ability. They have, like I said, the same amp, same cab, same preset, same exact everything. They were split recorded, so it's the same performances, and I've got my folder over here with all my 11 Rack performances and my folder over here with all my Headrush performances. So I'm just going to flicker back and forth between the whole mix between the two of them, and then we'll go back in and we'll listen to the individual tracks. So check this out. Go up to the corner. So the impression that I get is definitely that there is next to no discernible sound quality difference between the Headrush and the 11 Rack. I really don't believe that they really changed much of anything, if anything. So let's go in. I'm going to go ahead and mute the drums and the bass. Let's go in and listen to just say the rhythm guitars against each other. So let's do... Now, there's a big thing. They phase cancel with each other real bad. So one thing that I did actually want to do, let's do this real quick, and I'll bring this up just to show you. So as far as the Headrush and the 11 folders go, there's nothing on them right now. And actually, if I can go ahead. These are the tracks I was using to record. I can go ahead and delete those. And you know what? For the purposes of the rest of this, I'm going to hide those just to make it easier in the mixer. So if I go in, everything's at 0. That should definitely not be there. Left over from the previous recording, I suppose. So you see, everything's panned exactly the same. There are no tracks. I think this track actually wasn't getting used. You see everything's at 0, no nothing anywhere. The only thing, I have a couple buses that are not being used anymore. The only thing I have is on the main output, an L2, just making sure I don't clip. And that is it. Now you'll see the one thing I do have up here is a mix tool plugin, and all I'm doing is I'm inverting the phase on both sides. So if we take and listen to the Headrush and the 11 rack and flip the phase on the 11 rack, what we'll get is so that signal you're hearing right there is the difference between the Headrush and the 11 rack, which sounds like kind of mid honkiness, but to me, turning that mix tool off, bouncing back and forth between the two, I do not hear much that big of a difference. So you know what? Let's do this. Here, we'll flip back and forth seamlessly. So to me, I feel like I can hear a little bit more clarity in the Headrush. And when I mean a little bit, I mean, I don't know if by the time this goes through YouTube, you're going to be able to hear any difference at all. There's a little bit more high-end detail. There's a little bit more mid-cut. But honestly, I don't think there's an appreciable enough of a difference for anyone to really care. Now, obviously, I own a Headrush. I came home, I did this test, I heard this, I kept it. I don't think that the Headrush needs to sound better with the stock cabs that were built into the 11 rack. I think the beauty of the Headrush is that you can add your own impulses. They've now added new amp models, new speaker models, new effects. And the big reason for me that I own a Headrush is for live use, because the 11 rack, as much as I loved it, as good a sounds as I was able to coax out of it, it never had a good foot controller. I had an EEPROM modded Behringer BFC, I think it was 1010, and I used that for years and it was okay at best. To me, when I got the Headrush, the 11 rack sat in my studio rack. I used it to record and I was happy to do so. The 11 rack does the job of demos and recording just fine when I'm not miking up my amp. And the Headrush was a gift from the gods for live use, and that's what it's been for a long, long time. Now, a couple of years ago, I got a Fractal Axe FX 2, and since then, the 11 rack has kind of just sat in the corner not being used. Maybe if that comparison is something that you would like to see at some point, we could absolutely do that. But yeah, to me, they don't sound different, but I don't necessarily think that that's a horrible shot against the Headrush. I think the real weak spot of the 11 rack has always been the cabinet modeling, and I will say without a doubt the Headrush, as everyone else has stated, as soon as you add in your third-party impulse responses, the sound effectively doubles. It sounds so much better. Do not use the stock cabs. You can get a great cab impulse. You can buy a good impulse pack for $10 to $15 from, you know, Roswell, Spitfire, Ownhammer. I've got a bunch of Ownhammer stuff, and that's the best $15 upgrade you're ever going to spend for this thing. So I hope that helps somebody out. If you guys want me to do another comparison of maybe say the Headrush versus a Helix, I have a couple buddies that I'm sure I could steal a Helix from for a weekend. I also own the Axe 2, like I said, so if you wanted to see it compared against the Axe 2, that's something I might be willing to do. Let me know if this helped you out, guys, and I guess maybe I'll see you again. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep making videos like this or not. I think it's something I'd like to do, but I would, need to find the thing the niche that I can fill. There's so many other great guys all over YouTube that are doing such a good job of so many things. I would need something to do to justify doing it. But if anybody has anything that they would like me to do, I would be happy to give it my best effort. So I will see you guys later, I guess.